moved around. You can see there the Hinchcliffe. He's, well, obviously tweeting away furiously about hashtag Rock Miami there with Alexander Rossi, Ryan Hunter-Reay, and that is the man we were just talking about. You can tell because of the crazy suit, it is Travis Pastrana as he takes to the hot seat in the RX Supercar Light alongside Sebastian Vettel. This is Group A, Race 6, Heat 11.
So there is Sebastian Vettel, and he is under pressure. Probably as much pressure as I've ever seen him in the Race of Champions, and I go back over 10 years with this event. Look at his eyes there. The defending champion on the verge of elimination here at Marlins Park, with Travis Pastrana standing between Vettel and moving on.
And I have to say, the turn right as they come down, the start-finish straight, turn 1, on that left-hand side as you come down is going to be tricky, because that's where they've got a little bit of the residual on the track. So they're just sweeping it at the moment and just trying to get rid of some of that oil.
And this counts for Pastrana as well, because if Pastrana wins this heat, he's guaranteed to go through and keep out of a nasty count-back situation between himself and 2 other of his group members. So there's definitely everything on the line here as Marlins Park gets ready for Pastrana against Vettel, and Vettel needs the win.
The other half of that big accident with Pasco Wehrlein was Felipe Massa, who appears to be just fine and has even shared a laugh or two with his fellow drivers here in the pit lane. What happened, Felipe?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we were just finished the race. We had to go straight, one each on your line. I was on my right line, and I supposed to keep that line. I was. And I think maybe he touched the wall, and maybe something broke on his car. He just moved to my line. And then we touched. And then he just lost the car and started to bounce really massively. So yeah, that was a big accident. So I was scared that maybe him and also the guy who was on his side got hurt, but thanks God everything was fine and there were no problem. And yeah, it was a big one.
Well, we're glad you're all right. Thank you.
Motorsport, this is real motorsport, and motorsport is dangerous. But once again, the safety is paramount here at Race of Champions, and all the cars chosen to compete have to go through strict safety criteria.
So the Group A table as it stands at the moment. Let's have a little look at it. There we go. Castroneves leads the way. 3 races, 2 wins. Pastrana 2 for 2. Vettel 2 for 1. And Alexander Rossi already eliminated from this. So you can see how important it is for Sebastian Vettel to get out there and win. 4 times Formula 1 world champion goes into this with all the pressure, and Travis Pastrana with that big grin on his face.
And Travis Pastrana's best time so far is not as quick as Sebastian Vettel, as you saw on that graphic. So that even puts more pressure on Pastrana, because he can't rely on going into a tie-break situation and allowing the time to take him through. Vettel on the very brink of elimination from the 2017 Champion of Champions here at Marlins Park. This is the last race of Group A, and Pastrana or Sebastian Vettel will go through with Castroneves. Which one? This is head-to-head. Wait for the green. The lights are green. We're racing. And Vettel did not get a great start. Pastrana gets the best start. And don't forget, he's much more used to rallycross and sliding cars around than Sebastian Vettel. This is a great chance for him to get one over on his great friend and rival.
Yeah, Vettel picking up some speed for the second part of this track as they do the crossover. You'd expect Pastrana to be in the lead, and he is. But Vettel has some making up to do. He's over 1.5 seconds down on Pastrana at the moment. How is this going to end as they come towards the final corner?
I've got no clue. Vettel needs to win at this day, and he comes out the final corner first, but here comes Pastrana, and Pastrana puts out Sebastian Vettel. Vettel is out at the first time of action. Oh my goodness me, that is a big scalp for Travis Pastrana. He goes through takes out the defending champion.
I do not envy Bob Varsha having to go and conduct the losers interview, or special people's interview as we're calling it, with Sebastian Vettel. But congratulations to Pastrana, even though the car was slipping and sliding underneath him and he got some air as he came through that corner, he managed to get the faster exit of the two of them and crosses the line just a few feet ahead of Sebastian Vettel. But that is enough to put the 4 times F1 world champion out of the Champion of Champions competition.
So Travis Pastrana joins Helio Castroneves from Group A going through, and Sebastian Vettel, who has never been to the Race of Champions without taking home one of the big trophies, he's going to have to do that in the Nations Cup.
So here we go, JP Montoya up against Petter Solberg. These are experienced Race of Champions drivers. They know what to expect and they know how important this next race will be. The lights are on here in Race of Champions, Marlins Park, Miami. Off we go.
2 wins, 1 win each for these guys, rather, should I say, as they go down to the first corner. And Felipe Massa is the man to catch at the moment. Little mistake there by Solberg, who just overdid it into the first corner. The Polaris Slingshot, the first ever 3-wheeled vehicle in the Race of Champions. Very highly technical. Watch the back end of that car. It counter steers into the corner, so you set the car up and then the back end moves as well. And it's something that is counterintuitive for the drivers.
Absolutely, you can see they're getting some good movement though there, and JP Montoya just really hanging the back out, and Solberg approaches the line, and it looks like a clear victory there. It is JP Montoya who goes through with a win on that.
And he joins Felipe Massa on 2 victories. Pascal Wehrlein and Petter Solberg sitting on 1 apiece in Group B. Still Groups C and D, of course. We haven't seen those guys in their groups yet. And I'm afraid it was 3 up and 3 down for Sebastian Vettel here in Marlins Park. And Bob, it's the end of the innings for our defending champion.
That it is, John. I wait the cameraman. I am with Sebastian Vettel, 4-time Formula One world champion, reigning champion of champions. But here it is, all over in round 1. What happened?
Well, I was a bit surprised. I think the first race I had, I shouldn't have lost, and then the last one was very close against Travis. But that's how it goes.
Are you having fun?
Well, I had fun. Fun is over now, so I can get changed.
All right, thank you, Sebastian.
Ryan Hunter-Reay for Team USA. Today is Ryan Hunter-Reay for Ryan Hunter-Reay against the other TK, Tom Christensen, the maestro at the 8.5-mile circuit of Le Mans. How's he going to do around 613 metres? Christensen in the dark car to our left, gets a better start down to the left field line and heads off towards the bullpen. He's got the shorter run back to the finish line.
Yes, these two are very experienced gentlemen going head-to-head here. American flag waving around atop of the white car and the black car, of course, with Tom Christensen in it. And at the moment, it's Christensen with the lead, but don't discount it because this is a circuit where you can make up some serious time in that second loop. Penultimate turn, they're tackling that now.
This is the first action in Group D, which also has Kurt Busch and David Coulthard and Christensen, a man who's been second in the Champion of Champions, not once, not twice, not 3, but 4 times. Surely one of these days he's going to take it. Is it this year? He's brought his son with him this weekend as a lucky talisman and opens his account with a win in Group D.
Good for him. Those are real monsters of cars, aren't they? So I was just getting so excited. I was just looking at it going, these are the cars that the guys quite like to get into because they're so different from their standard cars.
Quite a long wheelbase. The distance between the front wheels and the back wheels quite long, so they're relatively predictable. You can feel the cars moving around. Huge amount of power. Indeed, they are the most powerful cars that we have here. The Whelen Euro NASCARs. Just 330 brake horsepower per tonne, but 450 horsepower and more torque than you would need to tow your house down the street. JB up next.
Yeah, the man who's done over 300 Formula One races against James Hinchcliffe, of course. His dance done there the Dancing with the Stars program.
Runner-up,
Did
yeah.
pretty well at that. And he's had the Indy 500 pole, but what can he do around this Miami circuit?
Right, this is the first heat of Group C. Jenson Button and Hinchcliffe. Oh, and it looks pretty even at the start, but maybe the Canadian just getting away to start with, but then Jenson Button picking up as he got into second gear in the Polaris Slingshot. Tiny little movements on the wheels from these guys, trying to keep the car balanced and keep it moving forwards.
So at the crossover point, you can see just Jenson Button comes in slightly behind at the moment. You'd expect that. James Hinchcliffe managing to carry some speed into that, but can he continue it through? Jenson Button wrestling with that Polaris. You can see the craftsmanship going into the movement of that steering wheel.
Coming round the final corner, inside line, has a run to it, and it's going to be JP. Just about held on there, half a second or thereabout. You know, when we're starting to talk about just under 0.6 of a second being a comfortable victory, that tells you how close it's going to be throughout the rest of this weekend here at Marlins Park in the city of Miami.
Yeah, you can really expect some very close calls, especially as we get through to the quarterfinals, the semi-finals and the finals. But Jenson Button extremely popular here at Marlins Park, just waving to the fans. They gave him a massive reception when he came out, and rightly so. Just newly retired from Formula One, and unlike Felipe Massa, not heading back at the moment. He's retired and he's looking to do all sorts of racing, maybe a bit of rallycross, maybe racing in Japan as well. He gave us that little hint that he would be heading to Suzuka as well. But Jenson Button, big fans' favourite.
So coming out next, the Euro NASCARs. Kurt Busch for Team USA. I think he might have a slight advantage on DC here, although in fairness, David will drive anything very quickly and has been making everybody aware of the fact he wants to win again this year.
Best form of his life.
David Coulthard for Scotland on the inside. Kurt Busch on the outside, pretty even start. In fact, the Scotsman may have got away slightly better as he heads into the right-hand turn. And then up the left field line here at Marlins Park.
Just such a wide beast of a car to try and get round, and as David Coulthard's doing it, he is having a few bumps, I think it's fair to say.
He should be ahead of the crossover, and he is by a decent margin there. Through goes Kurt Busch, and that's a good 2 seconds behind. He's going to have to work. The American is going to have to work very hard as they come the line. Coulthard's still got an advantage.
Just depends how much speed they can carry around Coulthard with a good bit of speed, and can you believe it? David Coulthard has managed to beat Kurt Busch in his own back garden in a car that he has no knowledge of. Incredible.
David Coulthard strikes in the first heat of Group D for him, and that's a big W for the Scotsman. And that bodes well for the Rock Nations Cup later on in the weekend, where David Coulthard's teammate will be Jenson Button, who's with Neil Cole now.
Jenson, that was a great double win there for the GB. You had a good win. How important is it in your first race to get a win on the card?
It's good, but we're in the slingshot, and it's interesting. I don't really think it bodes well for the rest of it, but it's all right. It's good to. Yeah, it's nice to get a win. We always like winning. It's been a little while for me, to be fair, in anything. So it's good fun, and hopefully we're putting on a great show for the fans here. It's great to see more and more people turning up. So yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, it's Brazil versus America.
Yes, it certainly is. You can see there the wave of Tony Kanaan for Team Brazil versus Kyle Busch, the other Busch brother. Both of them going head-to-head in this next round here at the Race of Champions. That's the bright yellow helmet of the Bushman as he takes on this track. TK on the other side. And off they go, racing to see who can take the first win out of these two, Kanaan or Busch.
And Tony Kanaan, I think, just about gets the run down to the first corner. Kyle Busch made no secret of the fact that he wanted to come and do this, wanted to show his versatility, thinking about what he might do later in his career, or even as a parallel career with stock car racing. Now, Tony Kanaan has the shorter run, has to be smooth, has to try and make up a little bit of time, but he's got the shorter run to the line. This is going to be close, Jenny.
Yeah, absolutely. They both come out of that final turn. It is going to be incredibly close, and it goes to Kyle Busch. Takes it from Tony Kanaan. It looked like Kanaan was in control of that for a little moment, but he just lost a bit of form, I think, on that second go-round. So, disappointment for Tony Kanaan. But for the Bushman, very, very happy there. Congratulations to him. You can see as they come around the corner, very close. Kanaan getting a bit of curb, which slowed him down, lost speed, and he just couldn't take it.
You can't take curb on that final corner. Too excited to get that out. You can't take curb on the final corner on that inside line. It just unsettles the car too much. Well, Kurt Busch takes it, and the good news is he's got something in the win column. Already we know Pastrana and Castroneves are going through. Pastrana will take on Montoya. Massa will take on Castroneves. What will happen in the bottom half of the draw? We'll find out next at Marlins Park in the city of Miami.
Race of Champions.
Well, now quick changeover from the guys. Of course, we're seeing the races in between, Jenny, but the drivers pretty much at this stage are having to jump in and out of cars, or out and into cars, pretty quickly. They only get the gaps between the races, which aren't very long here.
And they're all of the cars labelled up correctly. Can you imagine the sticker guys down there doing such a good job of making sure the right stickers are on the right cars at the right time? Kyle Busch, you could just see his sticker going on that Vuel 05, right? Are you touching your own badge there, your Race of Champions name
just to make
tag?
sure my name tag was on straight and I didn't have the wrong one.
Just because you have one and I don't. That's rubbing it in, John.
That's the badge of honour for going to Barbados.
But how do the Americans say your name?
It doesn't matter, I'm here. They can say it any way they want. Looking down from our lofty position here behind home plate at Marlins Park. Crowd still coming in, and it's an enthusiastic crowd as well this Saturday afternoon as we get ready for the next heat.
It's a pretty good family event actually here. There's all sorts, young and old, that have come for a weekend out. And what a weekend it is. The weather here absolutely beautiful. The view from the commentary box, we can see the whole of this baseball park that's been converted into a racetrack for the weekend. It'll be flipped back into a baseball park afterwards, and the whole of the vista of the city of Miami in our distance.
Aaron Colton, one of the Red Bull Action Sports athletes, out on his, is it KTM? It looks like it to me. Just proving what they can do out there. And part of the full entertainment package that is Race of Champions. I really hope that he and Terry Grant have got a fabulous tyre deal, because otherwise, whatever they earn, they are going to blow in tyres very, very quickly.
Tell you what, the MotoGP boys always absolutely love coming here to Race of Champions. And when Jorge Lorenzo came, he was saying how amazing he found it. Just watching these guys, he wanted to have a go.
Oh yeah, of course.
He wasn't allowed to,
Of
contractually.
The no feet stoppy with the back wheel 4.5, 5 feet off the ground, tremendously impressive. He's winding up to something here, just feeling if he's got the grip on the front wheels so that he can pull that huge stoppy again. Here he goes, foot on the back of the saddle. Amazing stuff. Please don't do this at home. At Marlins Park in the city of Miami, we're in the bottom half of the brackets, Group C and D, to find out who will join our 4 quarter-finalists that we've already identified from the top of the draw. And we're earlier today, the Race of Champions Day declared, and in the middle there, Thomas Pedro Regalado, the mayor of Miami, handed over the keys to the city of Miami to, on the extreme left, Frederick Johnson, the man for so long behind Race of Champions.
Really nice to see the next cars heading out. Kyle Busch and Jenson Button in an amazing car. Brand new. It's the Vuel 05, and I love this piece of kit. The driver's really enjoying it. Spoke to JB after practice yesterday, and he said, yeah, that is a nice bit of kit, and we should be able to have some fun in it.
422 horsepower per ton, built-in onboard camera. You can see it there in the carbon fibre frame, not the one that's tacked on above it. That's our broadcast camera. There you see it even better between driver and passenger. 2-litre, 4-cylinder engine. Kyle Busch in the white car, Jenson Button in the orange. And off they go down towards the first corner. And this car needs to be driven with a bit of finesse. You can't really throw this one around. There's an awful lot of power here. They're running on street tyres, and this is a street homologated car.
That's a pretty close crossover, one of the closest ones we've seen so far. Jenson Button, a very smooth driver, so this is his style of car. You can see the onboard there, his hands. You can see Jenson with the button symbol on that hand as he crashes through the onboard. Through to the line, it's very tight.
Very tight indeed. I think JB just came through to take his second victory, confirmed on the timing and scoring. And listen to the crowd. Jenson Button getting the roar over the American here. That's amazing. And JB goes to the top of the group with 2 wins.
Amazing. Kyle Busch will be disappointed with that because he came out to that final turn in the lead, but it was Jenson Button. You can see he is behind. He crosses the start line behind, but manages to get in front. What was Kyle Busch doing? Did he have his foot off the gas? Who knows?
It's so that is not. He's just about a front splitter, isn't it? As he comes through, just goes through, takes the accolades of the crowd.
And it has been a long time since Jenson Button was winning things with McLaren Honda. It was fairly woeful for him, and you can see that the other driver's pretty happy for him as well. Hinchcliffe coming over. We've also got Tony Kanaan there, and they're saying, oh, that was so tight. He will enjoy watching that replay again and again and again. Look at that. Really good stuff as the two drivers just congratulate each other. Kyle Busch there.
13 Formula One Grand Prix have been put in the win column for David Coulthard before he retired, and he's up against Ryan Hunter-Reay, and the Atom has spun out on the circuit as the race got underway a little bit early, and David Coulthard is going to cruise to a victory here as Ryan Hunter-Reay struggled at the first corner. Are we going to see the first catch in a pursuit style? David Coulthard will still want the lap time. Ryan Hunter-Reay has stopped to let it go through. Oh, he's going to slow him down through the final corner.
This is going to be messy as they come up to the final corner. I think he's stuck in a gear, maybe first, can't get out of it. Yeah. And Coulthard has just taken that win as poor old Hunter-Reay limps to the finishing line, having only gone around one half of this lap. So obviously a problem for Hunter-Reay, but we don't do a rerun of a lap here. Once the light has gone green, you take what happens. So a DNF for Ryan Hunter-Reay, and David Coulthard makes it 2 from 2.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely correct there, Jenny. Some kind of transmission problem. Ryan Hunter-Reay looking down at the shifter to see what the issue might be, and he lost it into the first corner very early on, and that will be a big disappointment for the American. But just like Rail Motor Racing, we don't get do-overs. You're not allowed to go back and call a gimme.
He's like, where is the gears on this? What do I do?
I'm sure he'll have an excuse ready when he speaks to Neil. Shake of the head.
First rule of motorsport.
Always have your excuses ready.
Well, next cars are up. It is James Hinchcliffe for Canada, taking on Tony Kanaan.
And on the line, it is a pair of Vuels, the 05 Rock Edition cars that have an amazing 422 horsepower per ton, weighing at just around 1,500 pounds. The lights are green. We're racing. Tony Kanaan in the orange on our left as he heads down and down the left field line. He looked tidy there. Like the look of that one.
Yeah, there's Hitchtown as well, just going around as he nears the final final turn of that first loop. The crossover period comes, and you can just see they're slightly behind at the moment.
Go fast or go home for these two. If you don't win this one, you're not going to advance. So the pressure is on both of these drivers. It's going to be close. This is going to be very close indeed, as Hinchcliffe comes out the final corner first, but he won't have the momentum. And there goes Kanaan, and Kanaan streaks through, locking up the front wheels. No ABS, no traction control, and an H-pattern gearbox. So you have to heel and toe on the gear, on the central pedal, the brake pedal, and the throttle here. This is proper driving, no electronic aids at all. And Tony Kanaan wins and therefore will progress.
Yeah, won by a nose. Can we say that about Tony Kanaan? He was making all sorts of jokes in the driver's press conference about his nose. But look at this. How close was it as they came around that final corner? But just the better exit by far from Tony Kanaan. And he takes that victory that was so important to him. That means that Hinchcliffe is dancing his way out of the competition.
And Tony Kanaan then 2 wins. Excuse me, that's his first victory. Jenson Button with 2. And so the next race is going to be super important.
Right,
here's Tom Christensen. Yeah, now TK, Tom Christensen. And he is lined up in the aerial atom. As alongside him, Kurt Busch. Light to green. The stars and stripes fluttering in the breeze for Kurt Busch as he almost loses it down towards the first corner for him, the right-hander, but somehow saves it. Is that just the door over for Tom Christensen?
Yeah, he's never won this competition, always the bridesmaid, even though he's taken part in so many. You can see him just mounting the curve there as he comes to the crossover. Nicely taken, and once again, the American car of Kurt Busch taking some extra slide into that first turn of the second loop.
No wins on the board for Kurt Busch so far. Is he going to get his first one here? I think he is. He will have the run to the line. Oh, Christensen's going to make it hard for him, and Christensen does it. And that's the first time we've seen someone from the right-hand side, driver's right-hand side, being able to hold off the momentum that comes from the faster corner on driver's left. And Christensen was celebrating early there and had to lift off as he was going across the line to brake for the first corner, but he held on. Tom Christensen takes another tick in the win column, and it's 2 wins for Christensen and Coulthard. Busch and Ryan Hunter-Reay, that's Kurt Busch, still yet to trouble the scorers.
Wow, amazing finish to that race. And actually, from this amazing vantage point looking down, wow, that was close. Look at them go through there. There are just a couple of inches in between that. So you can see the fire lighting here at the heat of Miami. And there is the very happy man of TK as he celebrates some of the action around here at the Race of Champions. A beautiful day, a beautiful beach, and a beautiful venue for this, one of the most exciting events in motorsport. Make sure you come back and join us for more action here from a baseball park turned into a race course.
Well, this is looking very good for Christensen and Coulthard in Group D with a couple of wins apiece. Kurt Busch and Ryan Hunter-Reay yet to get on the scoreboard. And Ryan Hunter-Reay hasn't finished a race. He's had a real problem there with that DNF. And he was well beaten in the NASCAR against Tom Christensen. Now, Tom already, I'm sure he knows, because he's an all-hand at this. He's going to have a quick word with Coulthard and say, look, you and I have both got 2. So we're through here if we play our cards right.
I love seeing the relaxed banter between the drivers here. It's one of the things that makes Race of Champions so unique. The fact that the guys will have a chat with each other just as they get into their cars, and then on goes the visor, or the glasses in Christensen's mind, and out comes the battle. And these guys might be retired from their favoured sports, but it doesn't stop them competing.
And of course, one of Tom Christensen and David Coulthard will be 3 for 3 at the end of this. They can't both be, and I'm afraid that Kurt Busch and Ryan Hunter-Reay are going to be struggling, but they'll have the battle for the wooden spoon. Let's hear from Ryan Hunter-Reay about his woes in that aerial atom. He's with Neil.
Yeah, very disappointed Ryan Hunter-Reay. It looked for that your Atom bombed there. Tell us what happened.
I don't know. I came down to turn one, and I touched the e-brake, the handbrake there, just to get it pitched like I did in traffic, and it spun, so I didn't think much about it. And then I started going again, and it was locked. The rear brake was on, and I couldn't accelerate out of first gear the rest of the lap. They say if you get a mechanical, you can't redo it. So I don't know. That's unfortunate, but they're looking at it now. Maybe something. I just need another shot at it with that thing. But it's great to be back here, Race of Champions in Miami. Just wish I had a better run there.
But that's the classic thing about a quick format like this, is you don't get a do-over, even if it's mechanical, and you know that's true for everyone. But it's hard to take.
Yeah, it flies by. You know, and if you don't start off with a good run, it can snowball quickly. But it's a lot of fun. Love being here in Miami. Great venue here at Marlins Park. So hopefully we can make this many years.
It's great to see you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's not happy. But if you get taken out on the first lap of the Indy 500s, you don't get to stop and get in your backup car, do you?
No.
So that's dems to brakes.
He's done 4 Race of Champions so far, and I know he'd be desperate to try and win. It's just never come out. He only lives down the road in Fort Lauderdale, doesn't he?
He's thrown the first pitch out here in front of the Marlins crowd, so he knows this place very well, but obviously looking slightly different than it does right now. So no more Ryan Hunter-Reay. He'll race off with Kurt Busch for the wooden spoon in his group. So let's go and have a look at the Group C table. Jenson Button out front at the moment with 2 wins. Tony Kanaan and Kyle Busch with a win apiece. James Hinchcliffe, the mayor of Hinchtown, is looking for some votes at the moment. Our 2015 NASCAR champion will be alongside Hinch. Now this is a really important run for the Canadian in the Rock Buggies. First time that we've seen the Rock cars. Smallest engine here, just 1.1 litres, another motorcycle power plant, but one of the favourites of the drivers. Watch how they get the front end to dive before they turn in. Green lights, and we're racing. Hinchcliffe needs this one down towards the first corner. Busch on around the Pitcher's Mound and up the right field line, all looking very tight both at the moment.
Yeah, you can really see these cars ducking and diving, the suspension working overtime there. Kyle Busch just taking a bit of curb, and you can see Hinchcliffe is the man out in front. He takes the crossover first, and now it's all up for Busch to do. He's a little bit behind, but he can make that up as they come round, both almost in unison at the final turn of this.
Across the start line, and it's Busch who's made the better of the second part of the lap, but not by much, 0.3 of a second. And I'm afraid James Hinchcliffe is struggling here and still has not got a win on the board. 2 for Button, 2 for Busch, and 1 for Tony Kanaan in Group C.
Makes it pretty feisty when it comes to the final rounds of Group C. Plenty to play for. Kyle Busch there. Look at him, it dazzles that car. It's a beautiful piece of kit.
Proper 1970s metal flake paint. Always looks brilliant under the lights. Now, Group D, Tom Christensen and David Coulthard, the old hands, are well out in front of Kurt Busch and Ryan Hunter-Reay. One of Christensen and Coulthard can go unbeaten into the elimination rounds, and there will be the head-to-head next. Tom Christensen with the open face helmet, David Coulthard with the salt tyre. In the fuels, the 05s, new for this year. Lights are out, racing. Coulthard in the white and black car, locks up the front end, no ABS, no traction control. This is proper driving, H-pattern gearbox, have to heel and toe on the brake, and the third, Christensen. Rallycross in his roots. His father was a European Rallycross champion, and as they come across, well, you'd expect him to be ahead, and he is.
Yeah, only by a slim margin though. DC versus TK, and this is going down to the wire as we look who can get the 3 from 3 here. It's going to be incredibly close as these 2 veterans of motorsport battle it out. Round the final turn it is, but DC looks in the lead, and he manages to keep it. The Dane was trying to catch him, didn't quite manage it, and Coulthard makes it 3 from 3.
David got very sideways coming out of the last corner, the right-hander, and almost gave up the advantage he gained. And now giving his passenger a little more of an exciting ride as he heads back to the driver changeover area. A loss for Christensen, but his place in the next round is assured. Bush and Hunter Ray will go head-to-head, and the winner of that will be in third position. The loser will end up on a big round zero. Now look at Tom Christensen. That is the classic Christensen Race of Champions grimace down to the first corner. And he was trying at the end there, coming out of the final, and he just couldn't will that car to go any quicker.
So the Rock Buggies are back on track. It's Jenson Button versus Tony Kanaan. JB with 2 wins to his name, Tony Kanaan with 1. So it really is up to Kanaan with a lot of work to do here if he wants to progress into the knockout rounds of this competition. A steely stare there from TK. But what can he do as he looks at the lights here at the Race of Champions?
So Jenson Button, hands off the wheel. He's very relaxed at the moment as the engines rev in the Rock cars. Jenson Button on the home plate hairpin, and I couldn't pick them apart there, if I'm honest, Jenny. Absolutely nothing between them. It will be Kanaan. Oh, Kanaan's just clipped the side slightly. But I don't think he's had a warning yet. Kanaan should be back to the crossover first, and will be.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll take the crossover first, cutting in very, very quickly. And at this point, it's Jenson Button that cuts in as well. It's a very small margin in between these two drivers. Jenson Button slipping and sliding all over this asphalt, trying to close the gap. Can he do it?
And Jenson's going to be close here. He's got to get the power on early. He's done it. Now can he hold it? He has. Oh, Kanaan's gone off. Kanaan's gone off. He knew it was going to be tight. And Tony Kanaan came round the final corner and just overdid the right foot, sliding into the central reservation. Ooh, dear me. Kanaan thought he had a chance there, but Jenson Button has another win, and Tony Kanaan, I don't think he's done too much damage to the Rock car. They are very robust indeed. In fact, he hasn't even affected the steering arms, which you can see there. But there's a big dent in Tony Kanaan's ego.
Yeah, certainly that'll be a hard one for him to take. But Jenson Button, we've just seen David Coulthard take 3 from 3. Jenson Button joins in there, and I think that's a feisty combination going forward. The two men who will be partners tomorrow when they're in Team Great Britain against each other at the moment.
Now here's Kanaan coming around the final corner. Oh, he got a little bit of a tank slapper going on there. Turns in, it's all looking good here, gets back on the power. Oh, hit the inside curb. Oh, steering wheel came off. The steering wheel came off in his hands. Let's have another look as we wind that back. Am I believing what I'm seeing? Tony Kanaan had one just like that, but the wheel came off. That's the first time I've seen anything like that in the Race of Champions. He was trying so hard and gripping so hard, he literally pulled the steering wheel off. Tony Kanaan explaining to Jenson Button, but they can have a laugh about it here at Marlins Park. Well, only once has that happened to me, any time behind the wheel of a car, and I wasn't competing and I wasn't going that quickly, and it's the scariest thing that can ever happen. These steering wheels, of course, pop off to allow you to get back in. Let's have a listen to Tony Kanaan. He can laugh about it now, Neil.
Tell us what happened. It looked like the steering wheel came off.
Exactly. That's not a fun thing in a race car, so I don't know what happened. I felt it a little bit when I got in the car, but they said it was normal, so I thought it was normal until it came off out of my hand. So it's going to be a pretty cool shot for TV, but it's definitely not fun. But glad we're all safe. Jenson did a good job, so we'll see.
I was just speaking to David Coulthard. He was saying that happened to him once. Has that ever happened to you before?
Never. So that is always the first time. So I guess I can check that out on my list.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, far better to happen here on the last corner at 35, 40 miles an hour as at 240 on the banks of Indianapolis.
Can we say he literally drove the wheel off that car?
Ka-ching!
Thank you very much.
Can.
Right, we are Group D in just a few moments' time.
Group D matchup on the line, 2 of these fantastic Fuel 05. And it's the last race in Group D. It's Bush versus Hunter-Reay for the final win, and the loser, I'm afraid, gets a big fat 0. Ryan Hunter-Reay with a decent start. Had a problem with the e-brake, the handbrake on his Atom, but he's got the fuel away nicely. Coming round to the end of the first lap. Kurt Busch has gone through in the lead in the orange car.
Hard to believe that neither of these guys have a win chalked up on this. It shows how hard it is to win here in the Race of Champions at Miami. So one more corner for them to do. Who's going to come out in front? It is another close battle here. It's so close, but I tell you what, just taking it is Kurt Busch. He managed to get that extra speed coming out of the final corner, a slightly longer approach to it, and he gets one win on. Ryan Hunter-Reay, bitterly disappointed. He goes home with that wooden spoon. A big fat 0 in the wins column for him. He deserved a bit better than that, but unfortunately, it just wasn't to be today.
Yeah. Bit of disappointment there, I'm afraid. But the standard of driving here, exemplary. And with the format here being so quick, there is no opportunity to recover from any errors whatsoever. You have to be mistake-free in all of these heat races. Now, at least you get a bit of a breather in the next rounds, because we go to a best-of-3 format. So if you make a complete Horlicks of your first one, you're going to have another go at it. So, this is how we look as we head towards the quarter-final stage of the 2017 Race of Champions. From the top half of the draw, Pastrana and Castroneves went forward with Massa and Montoya. Pastrana versus Montoya, Massa versus Helio Castroneves. One of those 4 will get into the first of the semi-finals.
And in the second part of the draw, you can see there Button and Busch going through, winning their groups, and it's Coulthard and Christian going through at the top of Group D. So it'll be Button against Christensen and Coulthard against Kyle Busch.
What's the betting that the 2 Brits get through into the semi-final? It's on, but you can't count out Tom Christensen ever in the Race of Champions. 4 times he's been to the final, yet to win the Champion of Champions trophy. Come on, let's do it. Absolutely. Let's just get in there. Helio Castroneves wants to get on with it.
He's pumped. I love it.
Yeah, but it's all just a bit of fun, remember. This is what the guys have been telling us all week. You watch this and tell me that these guys don't want to win. So we head now into the best-of-3.
It is Travis Pastrana going up against Juan Pablo Montoya. 2 guys who know a thing or 2 about a racetrack. Different styles, very different way of approaching it, but they will do all they can.
The car is the Radical SR3 RSX. Radical race car manufacturer in the UK. Do some road cars as well, but mainly track days, sprint and endurance racing cars. And they've built nearly 1,000 of them since 2002. This is the new SR3 RSX, improved aerodynamics, and a real great entry. Another motorcycle engine in the back of this car, rear-wheel drive only, running what would normally be wet weather tyres here, no slicks required. You want the cars to move around a wee bit. Paddle shift gearbox, and the guys getting to grips with these very quickly indeed. Dramatic styling at the front end of these Radicals. Pick a winner, Jenny.
Oh, don't make me do that, Pastrana.
Oh, that was pretty impressive.
Well, who are you going for?
Well, I'll go for Montoya then, because he's been rather the quiet man. Pastrana has been telling everybody he's going to win it. Montoya has said he's just here for fun and gets beaten off the line as Travis Pastrana gets the whole shot down towards the home plate hairpin underneath us and heading up the right field line. Behind those wrap-on goggles, he looks really moody, magnificent.
Yeah, the crossover point, it is, as you would expect, Montoya that takes the crossover first. Then it is to Travis Pastrana.
It's all about getting out of the final corner from the driver on the shorter run. It's tight, and here comes the outside line, and Montoya wins for Hindhaugh. And in the booth, there's a bit of jostling going on.
I'm just not talking to you anymore, that's fine.
But remember, that's just one. First of potentially 3 heats here. A popular win and a problem immediately for Montoya, who has stopped on the run round to the second heat. They will swap lanes.
Pick a gear, any gear. Come on, find it. You can do it.
No, he's not at the line yet, so this is smart. All the drivers have been told once you get to the line, that's it. So Montoya making sure that everything was all right. Also gets to warm his tyres up whilst Pastrana was sitting on the line. Is that a bit of gamesmanship?
Certainly clever from JP Montoya, but would you expect anything less from Juan Pablo?
The equation is simple now for Travis Pastrana. It's win or go home. The red lights on the Christmas tree in the middle of the track are counting down. Green and go. Quarter-final. Pastrana gets another brilliant start and commits massively to the first right-hander heading off down the left field line.
Bearing in mind he had the cooler tyres, that was a terrific start for Pastrana, but it's Montoya you can see here on your screens in the orange and white car taking a very quick line around the outside. What can he do on the second lap of this Race of Champions circuit?
Oh, he's hit the curb on the first corner of his second half of the lap, and that may cost him just enough time to allow Montoya to hold on here as he comes through the final corner. It's going to be close, but surely Pastrana will come through. No, he couldn't. Montoya goes through 2-0.
The crowd love that here as well, despite the fact that we're in the US of A and they think Pastrana did well. They clapped him, but they were loving the fact that Montoya showed him.
And Travis Pastrana, the man that put out Sebastian Vettel, goes out at the quarter-final stage. Juan Pablo Montoya is our first confirmed semi-finalist for 2016. I thought that tiny little dink on the final corner might have cost him, but as he came around, Pastrana just couldn't hold on and pull alongside. Beautiful line out of the last corner from both drivers. Montoya, semi-finalist.
Look at him climbing out of the car there. The man in the horizon yellow, very happy with himself, releases his gloves. The helmet will be off next, and you can see he is delighted with that. The guys from Radical just stood behind him. He gets a very well-earned handshake as well.
Should mention as well, all of the manufacturers here with their representatives, very proud to be taking part, and they're all really on top of their game as far as the mechanics are concerned.
It's a battle of Brazil, John Hindhaugh, because we have Massa versus Castro Neves. These are two experienced guys. They're in the Rock Buddies and they're ready to go.
Lights are green and we're racing. Juan Pablo Montoya is already in the semi-finals. Felipe Massa or Helio Castro Neves will be joining them. The Rock Buggies swing left, right and left again as the two Brazilians are doing battle for a place in the semi.
Yeah, Felipe Massa there just crossing over. This is going to be incredibly tight. Just look at the splits on that. 0.6 seconds for Massa. Castro Neves as well. They're both just weaving that car around this circuit.
Advantage Massa for me, Jenny, as he comes round. It was an awesome opening lap, and he comes round through the final corner. And in fact, Castro Neves is not in sight there. A decisive victory in the Rock car for Felipe Massa, and that all came off his run to the first corner and an immaculate run through the S's down the right field line.
So fast, his Brazilian flag flew off. Neil is with the man through to the semi-finals.
Oh, you're our first semi-finalist. You went about business quietly, but you looked like you were hungry for that win.
Yeah, I really wanted it. Last time I drove the Radical against Felipe, really screwed up on the start, and so I tried to get a couple of decent starts. The first one was really good. The second one was okay. It wasn't perfect, but I didn't lose so much ground, so it was okay. It was fun. It's fun. It's funny how competitive we are. You know, because we all relaxing, talking, making jokes, but you go out there and you just drive the hell out of it.
See you in semis.
And Felipe Massa and Helio Castroneves are racing off for that position in the semi-final. And again, it's simple maths. It's got to be a win for Helio.
Yeah, Massa taking the crossover first. He's wheeling around. He's taken a lot of curd there. As Helio Castroneves, you can see there.
It's going to be Massa again. Helio Castroneves just hasn't got the rhythm. I'm pretty certain Massa is going to do a 2-0 here again as he comes across the line once again. He's flown the flag, or at least his flag has flown. And Felipe Massa celebrates his return to Formula One with a semi-final appearance here at the Race of Champions 2017. Well, earlier on, Travis Pastrana knocked out the reigning champion Sebastian Vettel, but he's gone himself now. Bob Varsha has the American.
Been a surprising Race of Champions, and no more so than in the case of Travis Pastrana, who, as you said, John, puts out the reigning champion of champions in Sebastian Vettel, and then is in turn eliminated by Juan Pablo Montoya. Did you leave it out there on the track?
Left everything on the track, man. It's such an honor to be here. I was disappointed. The Buell, any of the cars that really have not sliding, I have trouble with. So I was really hoping we didn't get that one. But you know what? That's what's the beauty of it. All these drivers have to drive everything. You know, definitely against Sebastian Vettel to be in my wheelhouse was an awesome benefit. So would have liked to have gone further. Thought we could have, but it was good. Good to be here in the States and USA, man.
Good to have you here. Thanks.
So this is the C quarterfinal. Tom Christensen, 4 times the bridesmaid, never the bride, looking for a place in the semi-finals against Jenson Button. JB, the UK's most experienced in terms of starts Formula One driver. And, oh, now I think this is quite close. Obviously, at the crossover, the Dane is ahead, but that's because he had the shorter run to it. Typical gritted teeth from Tom.
Yeah, I love those onboards, and you can really see the rubber starting to go down on this circuit. It evolves as they go through, coming towards the arch. It's going to be very close. TK gets the better run out and just manages to pip Jenson Button by 0.1966 seconds. That is close.
See, 1966 is normally a good year for the Brits. Last time that England won the World Cup, but Tom Christensen turns that around to a victory in the KTM Crossbow, a car that has come back faster, stronger, and even more hairy for 2017. A car that used to be prone to a bit of push understeer. Let's have a look at the end of that race again.
Yeah, very tight. You can just see Jenson Button taking a fair bit of curb into that final turn. That could have cost him, but I think TK was slightly in the lead anyway. His finger goes up, and now the reset back to a race start, and off they go.
So Jenson Button in the darker coloured KTM has to win this one to take it to a decider. Tom Christensen, the man who's made Le Mans his own in the last decade.
Little kiss of the barrier there for TK. Nothing major to talk about, though, and he's locking up his steering wheel.
I think he's got it all to do here because Jenson had a pretty good run as he slides through up the right field line. Coming back to centre field now. Who's got the advantage? Christensen might just get to the final corner first, but Jenson will have to run off it, and he goes through and takes it by less than a car's length, and we've got a do or die, head-to-head, man against man decider.
Such different styles of driving with that crossbow. Jenson Button looking like a gentleman, just tiptoeing around, whereas the other side, you've got TK ragging it, one hand on the wheel at some point in time, just getting it round.
Yeah, Jenson Button, epitome of an English gent, as if he was sitting in his club chair. Tom Christensen, the Dane, looks like he's wrestling a moose.
I love the fact that this one is going down to the wire. TK versus JB.
Half a car.
Love it.
So Tom Christensen, the man who has made his career in the longest race on the longest circuit, 8.5 miles, now has about 38 seconds to get through to the semi-finals, and Jenson Button is the man standing between him and that.
Really nice start from Jenson Button there, but what can he do? The crossover happens. It's TK that goes through first. A bit of sideways slant there from Jenson Button going into the second part of this lap.
Oh, but Tom Christensen went a tiny bit wide as he came through past home plate, and this is going to give Jenson Button a chance. TK right up against the wall, Jenson right up against the wall. Final corner, Jenson on the inside, in the black. TK comes through. It's side by side again. And TK's finger is up, and it is confirmed that Tom Christensen heads towards the semi-finals. Can he make a 5th final appearance in Race of Champions? And the gritted teeth replaced by the Danish smile.
Wowzers, bedowsers. That was close. Jenson Button thought he'd done enough. We did too. Well, I did for a moment, but it wasn't. That's the end of Jenson Button's Race of Champions. He'll be back tomorrow with David Coulthard, but it's TK, Tom Christensen, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, that progresses through. And look at the concentration on that face.
Do you know what? I reckon he'd win much easier if he closed his mouth. That cannot be aerodynamically efficient.
How many flies has he got in there? That's nasty. It's mosquito time here.
That was only about a third of a car, if that. The onboard from the sharp end of the KTM. And just look how close that Tom Christensen gets to the wall. Look to the right-hand side. Do we see Jenson? No, we don't. We stay ahead. Down in the driver change area, Neil Cole has got the Great Dane.
Tom, the difference between 24 hours of Le Mans and 36 seconds in Miami is huge, but you do progress. You look like you were taking that pretty seriously.
For sure, he's very serious. Look, the man. I mean, we were cycling this morning at Key Biscayne, and Jenson is not catching up on my birthday, but still, he had birthday the other days, and pretty good days, and I had a lovely dinner with him 2 days ago, so it's not very fair to beat him, but I was trying very hard, and it was very, very close.
I mean, yeah, I mean, this guy, you never want him in a race here. He's just super consistent. As you can see, it's so close every race. So, good job, buddy. You got to go and win the whole thing now.
That's right.
Thank you.
And who is going to meet him in the semi-final? It could be David Coulthard, who got a very decent start indeed in the Ariel Atom Cup car with the big aerodynamic wing on the back. At the moment, he's behind Kyle Busch, but that is as expected. Oh, that is beautiful. What a thing of beauty by Kyle Busch as he rotated around home plate hairpin.
Amazing control. I thought he was going to lose it, but he kept himself in the game. Right, the two cars coming up to the final turn. I think it's DC that's going to get this by some margin, and it absolutely is. So David Coulthard takes the first of these 3 heats to see who goes through to the semi-finals of the Race of Champions.
David just trying to warm the tyres and the brakes. Almost puts it into the wall there. Now, practice start. He's an old pro. He's just seen his Nations Cup teammate Jenson Button eliminated by another highly experienced Race of Champions competitor. He will not want to go the same way. Get first gear. Again, this is an H-pattern gearbox. Coulthard, eyes on the prize. And the prize right now is a win for a semi-final place. Lights are green, and David Coulthard could go through to the semi-final here. Kyle Busch needs a win to stay in the competition. Much quicker around home plate hairpin than he was the first time around. Perhaps not as late, but he seemed to take a lot more power and speed through there.
Yeah, David Coulthard, the Scot, really throwing that car around. He takes the crossover first, but you can see Kyle Busch there really struggling to come to terms with this. Is this the final moment we see Kyle Busch in this competition? Because David Coulthard is wiping the floor with the man who is closest living to Miami.
And unless David Coulthard throws it off, he's going through to the semi-finals. And the heat from the flamethrowers announce another semi-finalist. David Coulthard with a comfortable 2.1 second victory, 2-0 to Kyle Busch. And Coulthard will go through to meet his old adversary, Tom Christensen. They've been against each other in the past. Well, brilliant run through to the semi-finals. 4 drivers are left. Who will contest the title? Champion of Champions. Marlins Park is the venue, and we'll find out next. Well, this has been very interesting indeed. I certainly think that Kyle Busch has a future in this competition, and I'm pretty certain too he's enjoyed himself enough to want to be back here. both of our precision drivers on 2 and 4 wheels. Terry and Aaron are back on track. Maybe get a chance to have a quick word with David in a moment, as Jenny's looking at the stats.
Yeah, I am. Just going through who's done what at Race of Champions before. If you can believe it, Tom Kristensen, this is his 15th Race of Champion, goes up against DC, 10th Race of Champions. So they're the experienced guys. On the other side, the flip side of the jaw, Montoya, his debut, even if you can believe that, here at Rock, and Felipe Massa 4 times here. Now let's hear from David Coulthard. He is with Bob Varsha.
Indeed, David Coulthard, with 2 very nicely measured drives, moves on to the semifinals. What was it like?
Well, I've been up against the Bush boys, and I'm proud to have been able to compete so well against them because they're 2 amazing talents. And so far, the run's going with me, no big mistakes, and that's, I think, one of the keys here at Rock.
Thanks very much. Good luck.
That's a good point. Coulthard and a hand worth 2 in the Bush. Obviously, there as he beat the pair of them. I knew I'd have to work that in somewhere.
I don't know how to give you that steely glare of kind of dislike right now, but I think I'm doing it convincingly.
I felt the disappointment from your eyes, Jen, really.
I'll let you
did.
off. I'll let you off.
Terry Grant down on the stadium floor, and once again, as we reset for the next part of the competition, Race of Champions living up to its all action, all entertainment billing, as Aaron Colton and his kids here. Oh, look at that. Now, that's why they're not stunt drivers, they're precision drivers. Another foot or so, that wouldn't have been very good at all.
If you ever get the chance to go and see either of these guys, whether it be Goodwood, whether it be here at the Race of Champions, any of the other many events that these guys do, it's really worth going and seeing them. And if you get a chance to have a chat with Terry as well, he is a mine of useful information.
Well, you've probably seen Terry in motion picture after motion picture after motion picture. You just won't have noticed it because he'll have been doubling for one of the mega stars and making cars do quite extraordinary things, because some of those stunts, believe it or not, are still done in real time and not in post-production. And all the clever electronics. All of those. Amazing. All of those. Good stuff. And actually quite a few racing drivers make a little bit of extra money as drivers in the Hollywood area. Well, we're here at Marlins Park in the city of Miami, and we've whittled it down now to just 4 drivers. Montoya and Massa have gone through to the semi-finals. In the bottom half of the draw, the experience, Kristensen and Coulthard, but only one of those 2 can make it to the final this time. Montoya, a rookie, debut in the competition. Felipe Massa's only been here a handful of times, whereas Kristensen and Coulthard between them have got 25 times here at the Race of Champions.
So it's Colombia versus Brazil in the semi-final of Group A, and they are off. So a nice start from Felipe Massa there into the first turn.
In the Ariel Atom Cup Car Race Series for these cars back over in Europe on the wide open road racing circuits, but they are equally at home here in the tight confines of Marlins Park and the Race of Champions. So Massa has a lead, pitches the car in sideways, just about holds on to it. I think he must have used the U-brake there.
Yeah, that was a really tough turn as they come towards the final turn here. Who's going to get first blood? I can tell you it's a tight split. More speed coming from Massa, but he bumps into the barrier. He still manages to take that, but that was a heavy hit on the rear of that rock buggy.
Look at the right rear rock buggy wheel. I think there's a bit of damage there, certainly a bit of white paint. Has he got away with it? He's moved the fender, the wheel arch, but I think he's okay. Waiting to hear from the stewards to see if he gets any kind of penalty there. Nothing coming through, so that will count.
Remember, they just get a yellow card, don't they, for the first touch?
Let's have a
look.
If
they don't do it again, then they won't get a red card and a time penalty.
That was a heavy hit, Jenny. You're absolutely right. And I've got to tell you, Felipe did a great job to keep that car pointing in the right direction. Question for me would be, has he upset the suspension trajectory and geometry at the back of that car? It looks a bit toe in to me, but no time to look at that as we head straight on to the second one, and JP, nearest to us, has to win this one. 5-second penalty for that touch from Massa. So that takes the win away from him. So now must win this one. It was too heavy a hit. Our judges, in fact, thinking he took an advantage there by not lifting off, and I think they were probably right.
Absolutely. So Massa with it all to do now. Montoya takes the crossover first, as you would expect. Massa really fighting that car. I think there might be a little bit of damage to the suspension at the back. Certainly it's not quite aligning as he would like it to. But can he still compete and push Montoya, the debutant, to the battle?
It's close. Here's Montoya on the outside, takes it by a car's length. Montoya goes through to the final in his first appearance in the Race of Champions. I told you, he was looking hot.
I think Massa will be bitterly disappointed with himself there because he cost himself that victory. If he had just kept the line as he went through that, then I don't think he would have lost that with a 5-second penalty, and then obviously a slight maybe tweak for that car.
Well, they've come back to the line, but I don't think it's going... Well, they're going to run another race here. Here's the penalty that we are hearing is being called. The judges saying that Massa should have lifted off there, and he didn't, given a 5-second penalty for taking the advantage to the line. The guys have lined up again because they clearly believe it's one each.
Who wants to tell Massa? Not me.
No. They're sitting waiting in the Ariel Atom Cup cars. There's no red lights on in the middle, and the time penalty for plus 5 seconds being confirmed. The guys are waiting to race, but I think it's going to be given up. They're pleading the case at the moment. Massa supporters having a word. Put it to the crowd. Are we going to have a crowd vote here?
Oh, I'd like that. We could do it by text, couldn't we? Who do you think? Rock Miami. Hashtag
No,
Rock Miami. But
honestly,
this will
I
be a
think
decision for the stewards.
I think so. Or just even Montoya doesn't know.
He's saying, what's going on?
They are being told that it's 2-0 to Montoya. So Montoya wins it on the time penalty from Felipe Massa. Felipe will be bitterly disappointed. Here is the crucial moment, the deciding touch. Great piece of car control from Massa that the car didn't spear across the track. But when you've got less than a car's length, Jenny, and the yellows came on at the end of the race, I think that's a reasonable penalty from the stewards.
I've seen that look before on Felipe Massa's face, having worked in the F1 pit lane, and that is a what? What did I do? Tell me. What went wrong there? His brother...
Oh, listen.
Oh, booing. Big boos here from the crowd at Miami Marlins Park.
I knew they'd get into it. I knew they'd get into it. They know what's at stake. This is a final position now. I wonder if Montoya might be having a word here.
Does he even know that he took such a heavy hit? Because in the car, you might not have such an idea of how heavy that hit would have been.
And do you know what? You're right there. There's damage to the wheel, and Neil Cole is our man on the spot.
I'll explain.
What's happened?
So the situation is that the stewards penalised you 5 seconds because the hit was so hard that they figured you gained an advantage by not lifting up.
I hit once, it's part of the rules. So one time you can hit, not two. That's what's happened.
I think that
I lost time hitting the wall. I didn't want to hit, I lost time, so I don't accept it.
That's the situation.
But remember, it's all just a bit of fun. We told you right at the beginning of Race of Champions 2017 that whatever they say, and he's stropping off there, that is a place in the final that is being snatched away from Felipe Massa. The racing moves on. David Coulthard in the Velo 05, the debutant car this year against Tom Christensen. And it's an absolutely even break down towards the first corners. Left for the Dane, right for the Scotsman. No glasses this time. Been wearing tinted glasses, Tom, to give him a little better view of his turning points. But the trademark open mouth for Tom Christensen as he comes through. He's close. I think he's close enough to give Coulthard a run.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. Unless something happens in this, I think it will be Coulthard's to lose. They come round to the final turn. Definitely the Dane has the advantage, but he's got the slower exit on that. No, it is. It goes to TK. Well done, Tom Christensen takes the first of that. And let's pop down to the driver's lounge. I think Juan Pablo Montoya is with Bob Barsha.
Well, Juan Pablo wins over Felipe Massa with a time penalty to Massa for touching the barrier. When you got out of the cars, Felipe looked like he wasn't sure what was happening. You knew immediately what was going on.
Well, they told me, I mean, he won that he hit the barrier. You know, I beat him in the second race. I guess he probably hit it in the first one, but it was great. It's fun. You know, I was happy he made it through the first round, so this is just a bonus. You know, it's amazing. I want to thank all the fans that came out today. I mean, I didn't know this was so cool. I would have done it ages ago.
And now you're in the final as a rookie. Congratulations.
So Tom Christensen and David Coulthard for the right to meet the rookie. How long is it since JPM's been called a rookie in anything? In the final, the champion of champions playoff awaits one of these two drivers, and David Coulthard has it all to do against Tom Christensen, who has the advantage at the end of the first lap, and it's a good advantage.
Yeah, and a very slow turn there for DC in the Scottish lag. You can see TK, we're on board with him now. What can the Dane do? He comes around the arch, but he's lost up and he's lost it. Can he do enough?
Yes!
Oh, what a
Nearly
track
threw
race.
it away. Christensen did everything in his power to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, but somehow hung on. He was defying the laws of physics with the back of that fuel. I thought he'd lost that. We've seen a lot of people overcook that final corner from that side, Jenny. That was extraordinary piece of car control from a man used to driving at 200 miles an hour. This was about 45 or 50.
Fantastic, look at that. His arms really just crossing over, trying desperately to control that steering wheel, and he points across at DC's line. This is mine, he says. So, who will be the champion of champions?
We've got 3 races to find that out. Marlins Park will crown a new champion of champions this year.
Go. Red, yellow, green, go. Red, yellow, green, go.
Well, as I once famously said at Le Mans, there'll be a new name on the trophy. As out on the circuit, one of my favourite events of the year. And Tom Christensen wanted to get into this car. The Audi Sport Quattro has been part of the scene for quite a while. There are our 2 finalists, Juan Pablo Montoya on the left, Christensen on the right. Christensen, the most experienced Race of Champions competitor this year, against one of our rookies. And I loved what JPM said. If I'd known it was this much fun, I would have come years ago.
But do you know what? They all end up saying that. The amount of times I've heard Race of Champions competitors on their debut saying, I loved it, I want to come back year after year, but you have to get invited. That's the thing about Race of Champions. It's not open just as any champion. You have to be the best of the best. And the people that we are expecting to come through these doors in the future, it's just mouth-watering. So you can see there, Tom Christensen. He has been a 4-time runner-up at the Champion of Champions, desperate for a win, and Bob Varsha is with him right now.
So Tom Christensen will meet Juan Pablo Montoya in the finals. One man is in his first appearance of Race and Champions. The other man has tied the record for appearances, but yet to win Champion of Champions. Can you do it now, Tom?
I'm too old for this. I'm too old for this, but I enjoyed it immensely.
Our announcers upstairs said it looked like you were going to lose right till the very end. Were you aware of your position?
No, you are not really aware of the position. On my last lap with Coulthard, I had a long slide on 4 wheels coming into last corner, and certainly I lost a little bit of momentum there. So you have to give it all, because I know Coulthard, after I win the first, he will be a bit faster. So you always have to go faster, and I overdid it a little bit, but I guess it just gripped enough that I got a good enough momentum to win. But you don't know it before you are at the line. Not at all. It's just a short race.
Congratulations. This is going to be a great final.
He just had a 4-wheel slide, he said. He was on the lock stops for about half or 3/4 of a second. But so that's what separates these guys from us mere mortals, that they can get a car back from that kind of angle.
Oh, can you not do that?
No. No.
We'd both be able to love to be able to do that. It would be amazing. So it's the rookie against the most experienced man. Who will win it here at the Race of Champions?
The Audi S1 Quattro will clear the field, and then we go for the final 3 races of 2017. At Marlins Park in the city of Miami, Tom Kristensen has won his way through to the final, and he will meet Juan Pablo Montoya. Kristensen, who is the most experienced man in terms of Race of Champions appearances here this year. Montoya, a rookie, believe it or not, who is having so much fun, and this one is wide open. Jenny, go.
Yes, they're getting ready to come out in the first of the cars. This is where it gets interesting. 3 races, 3 cars, 3 chances to be crowned the champion of champions. And the first car is a tasty little morsel, isn't it, John?
Well, this has been one of the driver favourites, brand new this year, the Rallycross light car, all-wheel drive, 4 wheels driven, and this car built for quick-fire action, much as we have here in Race of Champions, but with a little dirt thrown in, and there's not been dirt in the Race of Champions for many years since we left the Canary Islands in the 70s and 80s, which is in some ways the spiritual home, certainly the spiritual beginnings of the Race of Champions. 2 identical supercar lights Rallycross cars coming to the line.
John, who do you think these cars favour the most? Would it be Montoya or would it be Kristensen?
I think Tom in a Rallycross car wouldn't be able to show his face back in Denmark with his father, his late father being a European Rallycross champion. So Tom has got to make this good, but the way Juan Pablo's been going quietly, confidently about his business, Jenny, really, this one is too close to call. Holding the cars on the e-brake, waiting for the green light. The revs are up. Oh, fantastic start from Juan Pablo Montoya in the black and orange car. He has the advantage, no doubt in my mind.
Absolutely. And you can just see there Montoya sliding the car around this Miami circuit. A few problems for Tom Kristensen, so Montoya should be pretty close in this crossover when the 2 cars change onto the other side of this circuit.
Yeah, Tom Kristensen didn't make the most of the shorter run to the crossover there, and he's got it all to do, but he's neat and tidy through the S's of the right field. Montoya won't get as good a run. Kristensen's had a great second half of the lap. It's going to be very close indeed. He pulls alongside. But Montoya takes first blood in the Race of Champions final for 2017 by 0.2 of a second. Brilliant second half of the lap from Kristensen. Came up a tiny bit short.
Yeah, recovery drive, I feel that was for Kristensen. Just that little bit stretching behind, but he couldn't quite do enough. JP Montoya goes out. Now, to explain what happens if you're new to Race of Champions, they don't go round again in the same car. They will now go into a different car. So that's it. And look how close it was. A little bump on that curb, didn't he, for Montoya?
You could see the left front wheel clawing at the air there from Juan Pablo, and he just about held on by a car's length. If that straight had been maybe 10 or 15 yards longer, that would have been Kristensen's. He had the momentum. So the Rallycross car has gone to Juan Pablo Montoya, and that to me is a real shock. What do we have next? Answer: the crossbow.
I love this. This is such a different car, isn't it? You couldn't really push it around this circuit here in Miami. I say circuit, don't forget, it is a baseball park that's been made into a circuit. And while the guys get ready to try and compete here, we welcome Terry Grant back onto the circuit. And this is all about to get a little bit sideways.
Yeah, big change from all-wheel drive and the Rallycross car to 2-wheel drive on the back, 355 horsepower, a massive 380 brake horsepower per ton. And Terry Grant taking a Saturday afternoon drive in his Range Rover. And after all the hooning around and spinning of wheels, the SVO V8 Range Rover is going to be a little more sedate.
Maybe.
It's Terry, of course.
Do you think he wants some friends?
Yeah, he's probably looking for the Labrador to put in the back of the car.
Oh, our friend David Coulthard is getting... David Croft even is getting into the car. David Coulthard's probably a bit busy, but Crofty isn't. He's here as the stadium announcer. He'll be interviewing the winner of Race of Champions in a very short while, either Montoya or Tom Kristensen, but at the moment, he's having the ride of his life.
Well, nice and comfortable in the back of that Range Rover. And Terry Grant is not one, though, for giving any kind of free lift or ride to anyone. David Croft on the inside. The right rear window has gone down so that we can see Crofty's expression, I think he should have been on the other side, because I've got a feeling I know what's going to happen here. I've never seen this done with a Range Rover before, with smaller cars, and clearly neither have the crowd. And I'll tell you now, David Croft thought that was going to go over, because that's exactly what you feel when you get put up on two wheels. I have been in this position on the other side of the car.
Shot.
Well, right, Grantley will not take that. He will not take that lying down or sideways over.
He's quite good at reversing.
The SVR is on its way back underneath our drone, and Crofty gets to experience it all over again. So now, I don't know if it's better or it's worse, because he knows what's coming. Just look how carefully it's done. Rolls it up and catches it on the very edges of the tyres. I've seen it with small hatchbacks, minis, small Fords, but this is 2 tons of SUV from Range Rover, and that is brilliant stuff. Terry Grant giving David Croft something to write in his blog.
Crofty still holding on for love and money at the end there, even though the car was back on 4 wheels. I want to see his face when he gets out.
Oh no, I've not seen this in a Range Rover either. Oh dear, I hope Crofty didn't have anything too spicy for his lunch.
What about the cameraman that just was stood right next to that car?
Terry Grant, extraordinary talent. 21 Guinness World Records for precision driving, including getting a car into the smallest space either side. Fastest reverse flick, narrowest gap driving, you name it, he's done it.
Most amount of tyres ever used by one person.
In an afternoon. And as Terry comes back around, I've just got a small feeling that the ramp hasn't been changed. I wonder if he's going to have a go without Crofty in it to prove that it can be done. Is he clearing the stage?
So it's just an incredibly tight first turn to try and get that vehicle round to. Oh, look, Juan Pablo Montoya. Fun might be going on track, but look at those eyes.
So Juan Pablo Montoya, in his first ever Race of Champions, has battled his way through to the grand final. The champion of Champion Tag, last year held by Sebastian Vettel, who went out in the first round this year, didn't get through to the knockout stages of the competition. Tom Christensen, a man who knows what to do in the final. He's been there 4 times before. He's yet to lift the big trophy.
Is this the time, though? Is this his moment?
2 drivers that I really did think were going to be there or thereabouts. Let's go to Neil Cole with David Coulthard watching on.
David, you're an ex-Race of Champions of Champions. At this moment behind you, you have Tom Christensen and Juan Pablo Montoya. What does one of them have to do to be Champion of Champions?
Well, you've got to say Juan Pablo doesn't have experience this event. He's done incredibly well. Tom is consistent all the way through this event, and in many ways, having done it so many times and being the Nations Cup winner a couple of times, it'd be nice for him to win overall. But maybe with Juan Pablo living locally, it would be nice for the local crowd, but you know, they have to be consistent and deliver. So let's wait and see. It's been a great battle.
But it's funny, isn't it? Because this year Tom equals the Stig's record of 15 Race of Champions, and there's a rookie in the final. This is wide open.
That's the nature of Race of Champions. You know, you have to be consistent, you have to deliver, and you know, clearly Juan Pablo's been incredibly consistent. So let's see what they can deliver now.
Are you disappointed that you're not in the final?
Yeah, of course, because you want to go as far as you can. But that said, you know, Tom's retired as well, but otherwise, you know, I think I'm the only really retired guy here. So one event a year, I've gone further than I expected.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, all valid points from David Coulthard. I'd say, as we've been talking all week, Jenny, that these are two of the people that I expected to get through. I expected Coulthard to get through. Felipe Massa was a little bit of a surprise to me to get as far as the semi-finals, but you can imagine why he would do it. But still, the biggest shock for me is Vettel not being in the knockout stages at all. Never mind not even getting to the final.
Yeah, absolutely. Sebastian Vettel, this is a place that he loves. A race of champions, a race that he comes back to again and again and again. He was teammates with the great Michael Schumacher for Germany, and you'll see him teaming up with new boy Pascal Wehrlein tomorrow.
Pressure's on for
in the
those
Cup
two
of
now.
Nations. It really is, because Vettel won't want to go home empty-handed. He doesn't do that from Race of Champions.
He's booked the second seat on the plane to take a big trophy home. So, you know, he's going to feel a bit strange if he doesn't do that.
Well, he might not be able to do it in Formula One for a while. So, you know, you've got to do what you can.
I bow to your better knowledge of that formula than I. KTM Crossbow. This is a car that has, down through the years, in slightly different trim and tune, been a staple of the Race of Champions. But this version is debuting here at Miami. More power, 355 horsepower.
And look, clever Christensen didn't want to go up to the plate with his cold tyres, so he just reversed the car back, so he made sure Montoya wasn't getting any advantage when it came to heat.
And put some rubber down on his starting area as well. You're right, Jenny. They're lined up here. Oh, almost a jump start from Montoya, but I think he just held it. The green lights are on. The first of potentially 3 heats to determine the 2017 champion of champions. They're even in the first corner.
Yeah, who is going to get this? Remember, Montoya took the first, so it's up to TK to do all he can to get it back. And I tell you what, this is going to be a very close heat. Montoya just brushing that crossover.
Tom Christensen then, having lost out with the rally car, has to make this one count if it's going to go to the third and deciding event. And it's going to be very tight indeed. I'm not sure Christensen's done enough. We might have a rookie winner here. Christensen is there, but no, Montoya comes through. Montoya wins it by next to nothing, 0.0845 a second. We've got a rookie winner, and Tom Christensen, for the 5th time, is runner-up. Oh, Tom, what have you got to do to win this?
Look at the joy, though, on Juan Pablo Montoya's face. This meant a lot to him, and the crowd here at Marlins Park are loving it.
So Tom Christensen might have wanted 3 extra runs that I was trying to give him, but it's 2 runs. He'll prove that he can turn up with the best of them now as the 2 finalists in 2017 in the Champion of Champions run-off are burning some rubber.
Have they been taking lessons from Terry Grant? Because this is precision driving from the Dane and the Colombian here at Race of Champions.
Left foot slightly on the middle pedal to lock the inside front wheel and keep the right foot planted as the Cup cars, aerial Cup car, KTM Cup cars running round. We'll talk to the winners and the losers next as we celebrate the Champion of Champions at Marlins Park. Well, there is the picture. A rookie, the most experienced driver, and Frederick Janssen, the man whose brainchild Race of Champions is. And Juan Pablo Montoya, who's not been able to take part in this event for such a long time, makes his debut and takes home the big cup. And why Tom Christensen is one of the greats is because he is as magnanimous in victory as we've just seen him there in defeat.
Even cooler, you know, we're racing US against the rest of the world. It's going to be amazing. Same car, it's just more fun. So thanks for everybody that came out today.
Now here's the thing. Now you've come and beaten everybody. Why didn't you do this sooner?
I didn't know it was this much fun. If I would have known it was this much fun, I would have come earlier.
And it would not be a victory without a celebratory hug for the family as well. That's just magnificent. Has it surprised you that you've come here as a rookie, even at your age, as a rookie, and won through and won the final?
Yeah, I really thought I was so happy if I could make it through the first round. That was my goal, not to lose the first 3 races.
Which you didn't. What was the best victory, other than the winning the final? What was the best race, do you think?
Beating Pascal on the rally car. He was so good yesterday. I was so determined to beat him today.
And you have all your family with you as well. How cool is that?
Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, Juan Pablo Montoya. And let's see if we can get a word with Tom Kristensen in a minute as well. Tom, if we could just grab a quick word with you, because it takes really 2 great men to make a great final. Commiserations that you came runner-up again.
I'm trying hard. It's my destiny in that sense. But for sure, I thought at one stage I had it in the first time, but don't try to believe that. With this one, I had a bit too much oversteer on the left. So Juan Pablo doesn't look back. So this is a deserved winner, and to have been gone that far, it's always fantastic. But for sure, I have been a few times in the final and would love to have won. But I guess we have to have a race of champions in Denmark. Maybe that can help me a bit. But it's a fantastic event, and I love being here. And we go back a long time. I'm a bit older than Juan Pablo, but I remember when he came out from Formula 3 at that time. So it's deserving to win here on the home course where he lives.
You can't take anything lightly at the Race of Champions. Every single round, you're up against a great driver.
Well, the 2017 Race of Champions has come to an end. Juan Pablo Montoya, in his first outing in the championship runoff, has been crowned, or will be in a few moments' time, the champion of champions. The quiet man that we identified early on in the week, Jenny, has gone about his business, and poor Tom Kristensen in the final again, but couldn't even chalk up a victory. He'll go home as runner-up.
And do you know what Juan Pablo Montoya said before this event started? That he came here and he used to watch baseball here before, which is fantastic, and he put his experience of this and the benefits down to saloon car racing in Colombia when he was a kid.
With 90 horsepower saloon cars, and he's never thrown out the first pitch here. I have a sneaking suspicion that the Marlins might be on the phone to him next week to see if he would like that particular honour as well. Bob Varsha has the 2017 Champion of Champions.
Montoya, who has dominated, frankly, today, winning the final in 2 straight heats. You must be enjoying yourself.
Yeah, I'm over the moon, to be honest with you. Honestly, I hadn't done this event before because I didn't sure how it worked. And honestly, my wife is the one that said, I want to go, you better race. And honestly, I had a blast yesterday. It's kind of weird because you go out and you drive like 4 or 5 laps on each car. And you go from a rally car to a different car to a buggy to a KTM to a Polaris to whatever you name it. It's pretty amazing.
Obviously, there's a huge Latin community here in South Florida. You were one of the pre-race favorites coming in. What does it mean to give those people what they wanted with the victory?
Oh, it's great, to be honest. I told my wife, the only thing I don't want is I gotta make it through the first round. If I make it through the first round, and I was looking at my group and looking, okay, Pascal was so good in the rally car yesterday. I said, oh my God. Felipe, I heard he was really quick in the afternoon, and he beat me in the morning. It just worked out.
And now it's on to the Rock Nations Cup, representing Colombia with the very young Gabby Chavez. So what will happen there?
I'm excited because we know I think I can get the job done again. And Gabby adapts as good as I do to every car. So I'm excited.
Congratulations. Another line in a glittering resume for Juan Pablo Montoya.
Terry Grant, one of the first to cross to commemorate and congratulate our winner, and Tom Kristensen, a gallant loser here at Marlins Park.
Get ready to rock! Race of Champions!
The Rock cheerleaders on the start-finish line with the press, making their way down now from the press box just to my right. It's cleared out very quickly because there is access down there on the start-finish straight. Juan Pablo, well, a worthy winner. Absolutely clean, never touched a wall, adapted very, very quickly to every car, Jenny.
And I absolutely love the fact that his wife told him, come on, let's go to Miami, let's go and do Race of Champions. And there he is, a family event. And that is the man we were talking about just a few moments ago, Gabby Chavez, who will partner the Colombian in Team Colombia for the Race of Nations, Cup of Nations competition tomorrow. Make sure you join us. We have Team Germany, Nordic, USA NASCAR, Brazil, GB, USA, Colombia, USA Rallycross, the Rock Factor winners from Latin America and Rock Factor from Canada, all competing against each other. And I love the way Juan Pablo Montoya there says, yeah, Gabby's as good as me at adjusting. A racing driver never puts themselves down under any sort of way, and they never big up somebody else unless there's a psychological advantage to be had.
And Tom Christensen, what a gent. You know, he said, it might just be my destiny to keep coming second in this event. Great event. Let's hear from the man behind it. Fredrik Johnson has been the brains and the driving force behind Race of Champions since the beginning, and Bob Varsha is with him now.
Event co-founder Fredrik Johnson congratulating Tom Christensen on making it to his 5th final without a victory. You've got a feel for TK.
Yeah, absolutely. He's always such a great performer at Race of Champions. He's come so close so many times. I thought that he was going to get Juan Pablo in the KTM in the second heat for sure, but it's still small margins at Race of Champions. Juan Pablo, first Race of Champions, winning it straight off the bat. Very, very impressive.
Well, the event halfway through now certainly appears to have been a success on every level, but it had to be a leap of faith for you to bring your concept here to the United States for the first time. How is it going?
No, we've always wanted to bring the race to the U.S. After 28 years going all around the world, and we really wanted to do it. Last year we were in London. It was freezing cold. So when we looked for a venue here, we saw that South Florida and Miami in particular was absolutely the perfect venue for us.
Well, congratulations on to the Rock Nations Cup.
Absolutely. Tomorrow it's all about national pride, and I'm sure TK is going to want his revenge.
Thank you.
And also the Americans.
Yeah, no doubt about that at all. Juan Pablo Montoya about to be honoured as champion of champions. Juan Pablo Montoya introduced to the crowd a few hours ago, got a huge ovation, has lived here locally. The action got started, and from then on we've been treated to race after race of close finishes, great car control, and a bit of a scary moment for Pascal Wehrlein.
Yeah, the young Formula One driver had that big crash, but it's been a controlled environment pretty much apart from that. Travis Pastrana, a very happy man.
Put out the defending champion, Sebastian Vettel, and then went out himself in the first of the knockout stages.
And then Jenson Button, of course, in that Polaris, trying his best, couldn't get through. And the Canadian James Hinchcliffe also going out, some surprise exits from some very skilled drivers. But it was this man, Juan Pablo Montoya, putting on his gloves and steely determination.
Terry Grant wowed the crowd as ever with precision par excellence. Montoya, Massa, Christensen and Coulthard into the semi-finals. And it was Juan Pablo Montoya and Tom Christensen who got through into the Champion of Champion runoffs. Juan Pablo never been here before, but Tom Christensen, of course, the most experienced Race of Champion competitor here this weekend. Looked like the Dane might just take it into KTM, but Juan Pablo came through and notched the win, having beaten the Dane in the rally car 2-zip. Juan Pablo Montoya is the 2017 Champion of Champions, held for the first time in the USA at Marlins Park here in the city of Miami. A worthy winner for 2017. Tom Christensen, once again, the runner-up.
Tom Christensen, runner-up at the Race of Champions again. Tom, the man behind you, Juan Pablo, arrived and he stole the show. Did you expect that?
No, I mean, I know Juan Pablo going back a long time. I remember the very first Formula 3000 tests he did with my team, and you see, there's something special, and exceptional career he has got, so absolutely no doubt. He has a lot of very good car control, and he throws it in the corner and looks for it, so he's a deserved winner. But having said that, I've been in the final before, and I'm for sure trying very hard to win. I struggle a little bit in the Toyota because I haven't driven it today. I just did the test yesterday, and that probably put me a little bit off. But a deserved winner is absolutely Juan Pablo, there's no doubt.
Now, over your right shoulder is the cup. You've come very close several times. Yeah. What do you have to do to win Race?
No, it's a great event, and for sure when you are going to the final, I mean, with these 16 fantastic drivers, they are gathering every year, and particularly this year, I am very, very proud of having won the final, or entry to the final. So it's no problem. The Nations Cup, I always trade very, very well as it's a team effort with Matthias Ekström in Paris and with Peter Solberg in Barbados, and we will have a chance to try again tomorrow. But and again, it's an event. It's a celebration of motorsport in general. And being here, it's always something unique. And when you're in the final, you try to win. If you don't win, the first thing you say is congratulations to the deserved winner. That's what it had learned me. And in a way, I'm far too old for this, but I enjoy always the invites.
I mean, you're a true gentleman, but give us an idea from your perspective, having done 15 Race of Champions. In this baseball stadium, it feels really good compared to Barbados, compared to Wembley.
Yeah, it's very good. The temperature as well. I mean, there's a lot of things that the Olympic Stadium last year in London was fantastic too, but the temperature here, it's the vibe, everything. It would have been a really good one to win, but nevertheless, we will make sure that we will celebrate Juan Pablo for winning tonight, and then we'll see when we gather tomorrow for a great Nations Cup, which is even more special as you are a team. I like that aspect. I mean, being at Le Mans, these are the things that you can win and lose together, share things about the car. So I look forward for that event as well.
And you've certainly had enough seat time in all the cars by getting to the final.
Tired, you know.
Congratulations, Babak.
Thank you, Neil.
Just the wheels of Juan Pablo Montoya's KTM there going by on that onboard shot on the left-hand side that cost Tom Christensen a shot at the third and deciding run here at Marlins Park.
He has to be one of the nicest men in motorsport, doesn't he? Such a gentleman, the absolute way to go racing, and always say congratulations to a competitor when it maybe doesn't work out.
A privilege for me to work with him in the endurance community over the last almost 2 decades.
You know what, he's so respected within that community that he's actually invited to be an F1 driver steward as well and give his opinion on all of the sort of controversies that happen in Formula One. So very well respected amongst every single fraternity within motorsport, and rightly so.
Tom Christensen there on the podium again. Now, earlier today we had another competition. The drivers got to grips with that 3-wheel Polaris slingshot up on the roof. This was one of our skills tests. Sebastian Vettel came second, and the Mayor of Hinchtown, James Hinchcliffe, was our winner.
Being the skills competition, of course, we got the individual race, we got the Nations Cup, so there's a lot of different action that we have this weekend. We had some fun up here. Everybody was really, really close. You got a bunch of professionals, so it was a tight competition.
A real challenge for all of the drivers, getting to grips with 3 wheels instead of 4 in that Polaris slingshot machine. And James Hinchcliffe taking home the Skills Challenge Championship trophy. Looks like we are getting ready to crown our champion of champions with David Croft down there as our master of ceremonies. Let's get down to the podium. Tom Christensen maybe getting a bit old to get up there. Here's our runner of this year.
And he will be presented with a Louis Moinet watch that we have for our 2 finalists down here. Beautiful, gorgeous Louis Moinet watch. You stay there, sir. And also a bottle of bubbly that's coming his way, and of course the runners-up trophy, which we should have here. Brilliant. Watches first, ladies and gentlemen. If you'd like to present the watch here. Jean Charlet from Louis Monet. Congratulations to Tom Christensen. We have the runners-up trophy as well. That will be presented to Tom Christensen, as I said, in his 5th grand final. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, to join Tom Christensen on the stage. Your champion of champions winner, Juan Pablo Montoya. Obviously, no winner wouldn't want our watch as well. In the grand tradition of the Race of Champions, Juan Pablo receiving the Louis Monet watch, and also we wish to present him with the Champion of Champions trophy. From DHL, our partners here at Race of Champions, Mike Para, to present the trophy. And some champagne as well, some sparkling wine from our partners, Chandon. Time to put down the trophy, time to pick up the champagne. Hang on to, guys. Hang on 2 seconds. We have another trophy to present. This is the winner's trophy. Thank you very much. So the Miami City Commissioner, Mr. Frank Carollo, to present the winner's trophy. Juan Pablo. Our champion of champions, Juan Pablo Montoya, and Tom Christensen, our runner-up today. Some photos on the podium, please.
Okay, let's just run with it. It's all good. Just run with it.
Jordi Koblenz. From Jordi Koblenz from TW Steel. With our watch for our fastest lap, which goes to Felipe Massa today, but to receive it on his behalf, Juan Pablo. Confetti, sparkling wine, gleaming trophies, and Juan Pablo Montoya, your champion of champions for 2017.
So the formalities well underway, and I'm sure the winners getting ready for a bit of a knees up tonight. They'll have to come back and compete in the Rock Nations Cup Jenny Gow alongside me, John Hindhaugh, in the booth, watching on from our lofty position here in Marlins Park. A worthy winner, two worthy finalists, and just two great gentlemen of our sport of motorsport.
Absolutely, and if you think about Juan Pablo Montoya, his career, Williams, I know the F1 team have already congratulated him. Maybe they're kicking themselves that they picked the wrong man to take back that seat. They should maybe have gone for Montoya instead of Felipe Massa, but that's what they're going to do.
Massa got the fastest lap here today, though, so there you go.
That is true. He did prove himself. It's been a little while since Montoya tasted some fizzy wine because he hasn't won since IndyCar, the first race of the season in 2016 at St. Petersburg. So it's been a little while.
I think I might have been at that event, actually. So Juan Pablo Montoya goes through the formalities of winning the Champion of Champions. I think a number of people have tweeted into us saying the same thing about Tom Christensen, about his humility, but that also shows exactly how much he wanted to win that, and you can't help but feel for the man who owns Le Mans but is yet to get a win in the Champion of Champions.
Yeah, I think he'll be back again and again. Hopefully we'll be back at Miami. The sun's setting here over the city of Miami. We can just see it reflecting on the tall skyscrapers that protrude from the far side of this stadium. A beautiful place, and remember, you can get in touch with us, #RockMiami here.
New feature in the second part of action here at Marlins Park in the city of Miami is a new nation versus the world competition. And Bob Varsha has all the details with the American captain.
That's right. I'm with Brian Vickers, well known for his NASCAR exploits, but also a man who has raced at Le Mans, which makes him an all-rounder in anybody's books. And tomorrow, you will add to your resume the title of honorary captain of Team USA. How did that happen?
I have no idea. Well, being a Miami resident, living here in Miami, Frederick obviously invited us out. I've become great friends with Frederick. He's just put on an incredible show at the Race of Champions. I had so much fun today, and about 30 minutes ago, he said, "Hey, come down to the start-finish." I was like, "Okay." I get here. He's like, "You're the team captain for America tomorrow." I was like, "Awesome." So what am I doing? But yeah, it's an honor. I mean, it's a fun event. You know, to be out here, and so many great drivers, so many great friends, and now we're going to go kick their butts tomorrow.
You watched the action today. You weren't driving. What motivates these guys? I mean, to come out here, race on this wonderful but temporary circuit, very close quarters, different cars, all that sort of thing. What gets these guys' engines running?
It's competition. They all want to beat each other so bad. You know, if we're just running down the boardwalk, we're cycling, it doesn't matter. We're at the Race of Champions. We're all competitors. That's why we do what we do. And we just want to beat each other so bad, especially in an event like this with so many great drivers. That's what it's all about.
So now, as the team captain for Team USA, I assume you're going to be working on your pregame speech to get your troops all psyched up. What are you going to tell them?
Absolutely. I'm going to tell them to go out there, go really fast, don't come in second, and don't hit anything.
Well said, Coach. All right, thanks very much. Brian Vickers.
And Brian Vickers will be the team captain in a brand new competition, which we'll bring to you when we're back with you from Marlins Park here in the city of Miami on Sunday. This is America versus the world. Think of it like the Ryder Cup of motorsport. The team captains will choose their drivers. A toss of the coin will decide who gets first choice of cars, and the first team to 7 points then wins the 6 points, excuse me, wins the championship outright. And basically, if we're tied, we keep going. It's a very interesting concept. We've not done it before, and it's going to be just as much down to who plays whom in terms of the driver matchups. And I just wonder if Brian Vickers being here today will have gained some knowledge, Jenny, about who he can place against some of the rest of the world drivers.
Yeah, rest of the world captain being David Coulthard, if I am right. So he has a little bit of experience in how to pick out a good guy to say, yeah, you're going to take this round. And I'm really excited to see some of the hookups that they get, because there are some pretty talented Americans here. There are some pretty talented guys from the rest of the world, including our runner-up today, TK.
And it is 7 points they have to get. If you're tied 6-6, obviously then we have a single match run-off. It could come down to a 7th inning moment here in Marlin Park. We might hope that that would work quite nicely given the surroundings. Well, brilliant scenes from down on the start-finish line. The crossover not causing perhaps as much anxiety for the drivers as we expected, apart, of course, from Pascal Wehrlein. The good news is that the Polaris Slingshot and its safety features did absolutely as we expected them to do.
Yeah, that was a really hairy moment, wasn't it? So let's have a little look at how it all shuffled out in the wash when it came to the Race of Champions draw. Group A, you can see there Travis Pastrana and Castro Neves being the two guys to go through. Sebastian Vettel, the
Big
surprise man, going out, and Alexander Rossi having to fight even to be in the competition, beating Scott Speed. He went out as well.
Without getting a win to his name. Massa and Montoya went through from the bottom half, or the Group B part of the top half of the draw. Pascal Wehrlein, well, got shook up a little bit, and Petter Solberg not getting through. Then it was Button and Busch going through from Group C, and Coulthard and Christensen from Group D. That second half of the draw actually really, really hard. The bottom half of the bracket, Christensen and Coulthard coming together, either of whom you might have tipped as a champion.
Absolutely. If you look at that draw, it was a pretty tough round. You can see there the quarterfinals. Travis Pastrana losing out to our eventual winner Montoya, and it was Massa who managed to beat Castro Neves in a battle of the Brazilians to go through. And well, Massa wasn't a happy man in the end, was he? He was pretty furious at that, but that's the way the cookie crumbles here.
Perhaps that was the biggest controversy. The biggest excitement was Wehrlein going over. The biggest controversy, Massa getting that 5-second penalty coming out of the final corner and clipping the rear wheel of the Atom Cup car and taking that, effectively then giving that race win away. Maybe a bit of luck there for eventual winner Montoya, but I think he did enough to justify the Champion of Champions title for this year. Bob Varsha, a debut winner, a debutant winner in Juan Pablo Montoya at your debut at the Race of Champions. What are your thoughts of Marlins Park, the city of Miami, and our race format here?
Well, John, I think it's only appropriate that a rookie here at Race of Champions win in my rookie appearance. You know, many years ago, the great actor and racer Paul Newman said, "Old age and treachery will beat youth and enthusiasm every time." Now, I asked our organizer, Frederick Johnson, if there was a record for total age of our two finalists. He couldn't think of what it might be, but I have to believe that with 49-year-old Tom Christensen and 41-year-old Juan Pablo Montoya out there, that's right, I did the math, 90 years of age, 45 years of age on average. That's pretty definitive proof that that Newman was right. I can't say how impressed I am by this event. It has been absolutely spectacular, and as you've been pointing out, we've still got the Rock Nations Cup to come up, and I want to remind people that you can see exclusive live streaming of the entire event and post-race coverage at MotorTrendOnDemand.com. But right now, it's time to look ahead to tomorrow, and I can tell you right now, I can't wait.
Thanks, Bob. Neil down with David Coulthard looking ahead to that Nations Cup event tomorrow.
Well, David, the confetti's only just settled on the ground here. The podium's behind us. It was great driving today. What's it going to be like for the Rock Nations Cup tomorrow?
Well, I'm feeling pretty good now because as the team captain for rest of the world against America, then Juan Pablo has just been, you got to say, pretty special in his first time here. And, you know, we've got also, I think Massa had shown some really good speed. Tom making the final again. So I think we're in pretty good shape for taking this, this battle to the Americans.
And, of course, a whole new bunch of cars this year. Can you sum up what was surprising on the circuit today?
Well, we had a spectacular crash with Pascal. Thankfully, you know, the testament to the strength of the vehicle, that no one was injured. And, you know, that's part of motorsport. We both know that if you can see people walking away from a crash, that's part of the spectacle and marvel of what's going on here. But I think that there's been a great range of cars, all very challenging. I think the format with the course has worked because every year Race of Champions is mixing it up, always trying to listen to the fans and give something where you really get that grandstand finish. So So I think that so far Miami, they've welcomed us in a fantastic way, and you know, it takes time to build a following. We had a great crowd, maybe not the biggest of crowds in the stadium, but I've been hearing that people have seen some of the broadcasts and are coming down tomorrow for the other event.
Well, it'll look great to see you tomorrow in Rock Nations Cup and America for the rest of the world. But well done today.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
That's Neil Cole as part of our broadcast team from Marlins Park, along with Bob Varsha, Jenny Gow alongside me, John Hindhaugh. Quick final thought from you, Jenny. We've had probably the best view of anybody here. The windows thrown over in our commentary box, looking down on this unique challenge as far as Race of Champions and indeed motorsport is concerned. A challenge that all of our drivers has risen to.
Yeah, absolutely love the Race of Champions because it's such a different event for all of these guys. They come here because they want to get away, they want some sunshine, and they want to have a bit of fun. But as soon as they put their helmets on, all of a sudden that, oh yeah, let's have a bit of fun, let's go racing, turns into a fierce, fierce rivalry. And you can see it here at Marlins Park. It's taken a week to convert this from a baseball pitch into a really great circuit, and I hope everybody at home has enjoyed it, and I hope that this pan is going to pan round to show what I want to be the crowning moment of tomorrow, which is the sculpture here at Marlins Park.
The home run sculpture at Marlins Park.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think if America wins America versus the rest of the world, there's every chance that we could see that firing off tomorrow with the cityscape of Miami just through those windows. And there is the sculpture coming in from the right of our screen that fires off every time the Marlins hit a home run here. Fantastic.
It's possibly one of the most kitsch things I've ever seen in my life.
But it is brilliant.
It suits South Beach so well. There it is, you can see.
A circuit that means that every single mistake or error was punished, and the man who went error-free, or at least closest to it, was brand new to the competition. Juan Pablo Montoya has been crowned Champion of Champions for 2017. We congratulate him. Our commiserations to Tom Christensen, but what a star performer he was. Thanks to the rest of the team, as the guys have been running really, really hard for us around the circuit. Now what I've got to think is, who does David Coulthard pick to go against the Americans? He mentioned some of those names in terms of the guys who did well. Both he and Button got to the semis. You've got Tom and Juan as well.
I tell you what, America, just think on this, that both Alexander Rossi and Ryan Hunter-Reay went 0 from 3.
Yeah.
They've got a lot to come back from, and they're teammates tomorrow as well.
Let's go back to the deciding moment of the Champion of Champions runoff, with Juan Pablo Montoya working the gearbox. This is the first runoff in the rally cars. Just about got the decision on Tom Christensen, which was a surprise to me, I have to say, Jenny, because I did think that he would go well. And finally, the KTMs were the decider for Juan Pablo Montoya. Well, a brilliant effort by everyone concerned here at the Marlins, and indeed to the city of Miami. First time in the United States has been, for me, a real brilliant effort from everyone and a fabulous success. We've crowned a new champion. There's a new name on the trophy. Juan Pablo Montoya, close to perfect, and goes into the next round of competition, America versus the rest of the world, and the Nations Cup with real momentum. David Coulthard will captain the rest of the world against Brian Vickers captaining the American team. Join Jenny Gow, Bob Varsha, Neil Cole and me, John Hindhaugh, when we're back to do it again at Marlins Park in the city of Miami.
Yay!